All right, check 1 2. See if we got audio going on. Guess I should actually clip this thing to my pocket. One of these days, I swear this is going to get caught on something, and it's going to probably choke the hell out of me. I just want to check something really quick. I brought my one of my knife rolls down. Oh yeah, we got more than enough room. Now let's get this out of the dirty ass forge. I hope everyone's doing well. Lovely Friday. Looks like it's about ready to start dumping rain on us here. I don't mind. It'll definitely cool down the shop a little bit. So here's our knife that we've been working on We started the billet on Wednesday. Here, I'll bring it a little closer. So right now, as we stand, I still want to go a little bit wider with the blade. This is just, just roughed out. Our blade is 10.5 inches from the choil. Overall, we're about 15 7/8. So I don't mind the length on that. That's totally fine. But I think, let me just double check this. I think we're sitting right at 1.5 as far as the width goes. And I've definitely got, I'm at 1/8 of an inch thick on the edge right now. So I really haven't beveled anything down. Yeah, because the spine is pretty much the exact same. Now, obviously, when I grind this, I'm going to be taking it down a lot more uniform. And our distal taper's in there. It's just not super thin right now. But what I'd like to do is I'd like to fire up the forge and just see if I can pull a little bit more material down here. And I'm kind of feeling my bias as far as handedness towards the rear of the knife. Up at the front, not so much of a problem. But that's why not forcing yourself into doing something in really rapid fire, in a rapid fire method is nice, because you get to come back and you get to be critical of your own work. I think that's if you can be honest with yourself, then you can be honest with everybody else. But it's really hard to sometimes say, no, that looks like shit, or what the fuck was I thinking? I don't think, did I turn these off last night? Doesn't seem like there's a lot of pressure buildup in here. There we go. Cool, got safety glasses, my tongs. I do not need any borax out anymore. Just gonna give that a few minutes to heat up. What is glaring there? Oh, that's okay. I keep on moving these cameras around, so every day they're a little different. Of course, when I hung that light over by the drill press and the power hammer, I wasn't ever expecting to live stream the shop, so. Bring that hammer over here. I really like this Japanese dog's head hammer for doing my bevels. Got all my brushes. Cool, I'm good to go. Just waiting on the forge to heat up. Safety glasses so I don't get yelled at. They're totally effective if you just wear them on top of your hat, right? I mean, the whole point is just you're wearing safety glasses. It's a fucking joke. Don't take me seriously. God, the last thing I need is 10,000 comments saying, I can't believe you said that about safety glasses. Or maybe that's exactly what I need. Maybe 10,000 controversial, or comments over a controversial statement. There's no such thing as bad publicity, right? Oh, really need to get somebody in here to sweep up after me. The weird part is it's been 8 months since I've been a smoker, and I'm still finding cigarette butts in the shop. Wait, 8 months since I've been a smoker? That doesn't sound right. 8 months since I quit smoking. My Pennsylvania Dutchisms are coming out. We take the English language that everyone knows and loves and we bastardize it to make it work however we feel. There we go. We'll just sweep that pile of trash right in front of that Windows computer because, well, if you haven't figured it out yet by watching any of the streams, I really do not like Windows. If I get a couple of days off, maybe I'll just go ahead and install Linux on this machine. Or I'll make it into a Hackintosh. The problem is Hackintoshes suck with NVIDIA cards, so there's a 1050 Ti in this machine, so hey, let's talk nerd. I guess we can talk a whole bunch of different nerd in this shop. We can talk computers. Can't talk video games. I never really get a chance to play video games. Now, if Nate was here, he could tell you all about Call of Duty. I don't think I could actually pick it out from a screenshot. Which I don't feel as that's a life fail for a 43-year-old American male. I digress. I'm just killing time till this thing gets up to temp. I just like a nice thorough soak in there. I like all the refractory to balance out the heat. And I mean, let's face it, nobody feels like working today. It's Friday. But I've got some cold iced tea, some warm beer. I should have put that beer in the shop fridge before I left last night, but oh well. Alrighty. Hey, if you join us, say hi. I don't have any of the statistics pulled up here, so I can't tell if somebody's watching or not. Oh, wait. Rico from Denmark. How you doing, buddy? Just finishing up or getting prepared for heat treatment, doing a French-style chef's knife. I started the billet Wednesday afternoon, and we finished it up yesterday. Did some rough forging. I just want to pull my bevels out a little bit more, see if I can get just a little bit more width out of that blade, just to give me some leeway when I'm grinding. So I just fired up the forge and literally just put the piece in. Starting to get some nice heat on there already. And just so you know, I know if you're watching on YouTube, so there's going to be a couple of minute delay from when you hit enter on your chat until when I see it. Using all this fun relaying stuff to make sure that we get it out to Twitch and also YouTube all at the same time. Might as well make sure I have some clean safety glasses. That's Rick. This is exactly what I've been doing the past couple of weeks. You know, we've been doing this whole quarantine shutdown thing here in the States, and it's just nice to have the technology here in the shop to be able to share it with people. And quite frankly, I was going to talk to myself anyway, so it's nice to have a justified reason to do it. I think last night when we tried it out, we were about 1 minute and 12 seconds of delay. But hey, in order to have chats going on between our YouTube, Twitch, and our Discord server. So I figure that's a small price to pay to bring three technologies together. So what style knives are you making there? Yes, it's very awesome in some ways until it doesn't work, and then it drives you nuts. Last night during our stream, a buddy of mine who's a couple 100 miles away decided to jump into our Discord server and go into voice chat. And we decided to try to figure out if we could bring the voice chat into this stream. And the answer is yes, we can. But it crashed the whole stream like 2 hours into it. Now, I was wondering, like, are you making, yesterday I explained the difference to the guys that were watching, the difference between a German-style chef's knife a French style chef's knife, Japanese chef's knives. I just didn't know what style you were going with. If you take this gentle enough, I'm not hitting super hard on this, but I'm really pulling that bevel down, and I can already see I'm getting some extra width out of that, which is what I wanted. Boy, I think this half gallon is not going to last very long today. Now, obviously, as I do this more and more, I'm going to get a slight upsweep on this blade. I can fix that. So I make sure I'm keeping it flat. Although I kind of like that upsweep. It's not really keeping with style, though. Smells something. It smells like epoxy melting right now. I'm wondering where the hell it's coming from. For those of you wondering, I don't know how easy this is to see. I don't really have anything to point out with. Let me grab something here off the shelf. So as this cools down a little bit, looking at the top left camera. Nakiri Hybrid. I love doing wah handles. I feel like I suck at them, but it's one of those things where, man, I've been trying and trying and trying. I've made some stuff for my own personal collection here in the kitchen, but nothing that I felt like selling just yet. Although I know some guys that for a couple $100 make some really nice wah handles that I would love to include with my blades. So for those of you wondering what I'm actually doing, I'm not hammering along this edge right here, along that what's going to be the sharpen point. I'm trying to get my hammer to land a little bit more closer to center here. I want to make sure that my bevel starting, at least like 2/3 of the way up the blade. I just want that to taper all the way down towards the edge. So I'm thinning out. I just felt like my material was a little too thick going down the very center of that blade. Oh, hello there, Mr. Germany. How are you doing? I wonder why this mic keeps on crackling. I don't know if it's the mic being bad or if it's just the fact that I'm in a blacksmith shop and microphones are not normally something that are found around all these shavings of metal. Well, it's another day, just starting out. So, and of course, this damn camera. Swear to God. Well, at least it gives me some exercise. The humidity's definitely getting a lot higher here with the storm that hit the states. I'm up I'm up in Pennsylvania, so it hit down south, but it's all coming up this weekend. And you just feel that humidity increasing. No such thing as a dry heat. Not around here. So this is actually 15N20 and 1095. And I did a billet on Wednesday and Thursday. And then last night I roughed this blade out. Today we're just finishing it up. But we are at 75 layers. Essentially, I had, or is it 73 layers? I can't do math. It's Friday. Yeah, it's 73 layers. So I had forged it down into a billet of 36 and 36, and then took a thicker piece of 1095, and so essentially we sandwiched that with the Damascus. I really love 1095 in the kitchen. And I just like that consistency as far as sharpening goes. The nickel in the 15N20 can cause some issues for the end user. So I really like having just a mono seal edge. Just need to bring this last third of the blade towards the tip. Need to bring that down. And then I'm going to have to straighten out this curve that we're putting in there. But that curve's really nice. It's indicative that we actually are moving metal. So it's confirming the work that you're doing. I've just never been a big fan of taking the pattern all the way down to the edge. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've done it, but that's when I started noticing that there were different hardness issues when when you're going from a plain carbon steel and then a nickel steel. They do sharpen a lot different. So you're using red clay, huh? Man, if I was just making a knife to look wicked, that would be it right there. So I've never played with 100 CR6. I've got some like what 80 CRV, got some S110V, and I think some S30V. I forget. Uh, I've never played around with 100 CR6. But you know, there's so many different steels coming out there on the market, and it's not that I disagree with using them. I just get, we teach an awful lot here in the shop, and so we get guys that have never swung a hammer at a piece of metal before. They've never even ground or done stock removal, and there's the problem is they read up about all these super steels that are coming out, and some of them really require some very particular heat treating. And I mean, I've got a molten salt tank. Uh, I've got liquid nitrogen. I've got, just a regular 22-inch electric kiln as well. So, I mean, I'm prepared to heat treat just about anything, but I don't think your average backyard hobbyist really has that. Okay, a lot of ball bearing material that I've used here is 52-100. But you're talking like bearing raceway kind of thing. And I've got some 52-100 here. Again, another steel that I really like as far as performance goes. But God, is it a bitch under the hammer? I forget what the chromium content is on it, but I know it's shy of being of stainless, but still, it's just a pain in the ass under the hammer. Of course, I say that the very first time I ever forged it, I had ordered in or was given I think it was like 1-inch round bar. So before I go back and clean up this edge, I'm just using a wooden mallet to straighten out the spine on this. Now I'm at 10.5 inches on this blade. I almost think that I may end up taking it down to 9.5 inches just to make it a little bit more comfortable. Plus, I want to see, where the tip lands and everything else. I want that tip to be a little lower. This is a French-style chef's knife, so the tip should be in line with the bottom of the handle. But we'll get it straightened and see where we go from there. I'm also not a huge fan of using, you said, a frag ball bearing. I'm not a huge fan of repurposing steels. I really prefer to use virgin steels in my knives. Although, I mean, I have plenty of steel laying around here that, came from old leaf springs and stuff like that. But I really use a lot of that stuff for just making, a quick chisel or a punch or, some tool that I need here in the shop. Well, that's just me. If I'm working on something and I see a microfracture in there, that's really going to piss me off 17 hours in. So there we go. Just a slight curve right now. Should be able to straighten that out. There's also another curve right behind the choil going into the handle, into the tang. But I can get that from the other side. I really like using the wooden mallet for doing these, straightening operations, just because the wood's not going to put any hammer marks in there. I can do it with a light hammer, but when you're trying to talk to people, read chat messages and everything else, you've already got enough distractions going on. Why take the chance for some sort of error? I mean, last thing I want to do is get an hour into a stream and go, well, I fucked up. Stream's over. Well, I cut my teeth in restaurant kitchens. That's actually how I was able to afford all my equipment, was by cooking and running kitchens. And then in 2006 I left the restaurant industry. By 2007 I was doing this full time. I had a part-time job that was really only about 3 months out of the year, doing theatrical props. And I started that when I was 18, so I was pretty blessed that I had a boss that still let me do it. He was a bit of a theater nerd, the guy who owned the restaurant, so he really enjoyed that. We had live dinner theaters there, with like pirates and stuff like that. It was a really cool place. It's like the restaurant was 35 feet below ground in these old caverns. It was really neat looking. Oh man, I started forging '01, and the very first knives I made were out of '01, and I love it. I absolutely love it. It's a really cool steel, but boy, can you screw that up really quick. It has certain temperature ranges that it's really comfortable moving in, and other temperature ranges it's just like, screw you, I'm gonna fail. Okay, now I'm gonna go back with that Japanese dog's head hammer. I really like how the spine is, so I'm not gonna try to draw too much out on this blade or anything out on this blade. Um, but I'm just gonna use the Japanese hammer just to straighten out a little bit of that. I don't know what you call it, waffling or the bacon edge. What I mean by that is when you take a strip of bacon, you put it in a hot pan, and it curls all up, as it cooks. That's what I call a bacon edge. Got to step over here by the fan. This feels really good. I know I'm off the main camera, but have you looked around for maybe a machine shop that's got a nice horizontal bandsaw that could just cut slabs off for you? I've got a guy down the street that has one of these giant 15-foot tall monstrosities. All he does is lock it in and hit a button, and man, it'll cut 1/8-inch slabs off for me. Used to use a lot of what was called L6 here in the States, but that's it's just not as common as it once was. They all say no. Do you have some decent heat treating facilities of your own? So I've made friends with machinists by showing them the equipment that I have here at the shop, and their ears really perk up when they realize that they can have somebody else properly heat treat some hand tool that they use a lot instead of having to do a lot of repairs on it. So you gotta create those symbiotic relationships. Well, everybody needs a giant bandsaw. I do totally concur with that. I think one more pass and the blade portion of this knife is good. Then I'm going to let it cool down a little bit and then just reheat that, like, I don't know, what would that be? Would that be the Forte? There on that knife. I want to straighten out the tang just a hair. Right now it looks like one of those funky ergonomic knives that you see in Williams-Sonoma catalogs. My edge is moving really nice. It seems I don't see any divots in here that's telling me, or any areas where it's a little shallow. And yeah, it looks very consistent as far as material thickness goes. I'm going to do one more pass from the other side. I just want to bring that edge just a little closer. Looking at it, it doesn't look like the edge is exactly to center. And instead of grinding that to center, I'd rather see, take 30 seconds, see if I can just hammer it back. Yeah, having your own heat treat facilities, I mean, that's the game changer right there. There's a limited place where you can actually find, other people to heat treat for you. And then you really got to put a lot of faith in them. And it also takes out the experimentation. I mean, because there's certain seals that when I use them one way, I heat treat, at certain temperatures. But then when I intend it for another application, I change that around a lot. For instance, this particular knife, I'm aiming for about a 58, maybe 59 Rockwell on this. And I've got a hand tester here in the shop to check that out. So I passed up one of those big benchtop Rockwell hardness testers. Could have gotten it dirt cheap, but it didn't have any of the tips with it, and I didn't really know much about repairing them or calibrating them. So it just kind of, the more and more I thought about it, just kind of seemed more like a pain in the ass. Yet another project to have here. Just a slight bow. Tap and look, tap and look. Kind of feel like a chiropractor every once in a while when you're just doing these little nudges. But it really does change an awful lot in your blade. Let that drop. That's how it work. Wow. 36 tons. That's a hell of a block of steel. Well, I think that's close enough for government work. I may go over that one more time after I straighten all this out. I'm going to let this cool just a little bit, just because my blade, my edge, everything's so much thinner than the material that I'm trying to heat up. And I don't need to go for a full heat on this. I just want a little bit so I can nudge it in the direction that I want it. God, this thing's almost like a saber. A little short, but if I added another 10 inches onto that blade, we'd at least have a cutlass. That's something I haven't made in about 3 or 4 years. A cutlass. I've been meaning to do a rapier as well. It's been a while. I used to do, 3 or 4 of them a year. I really, really enjoyed doing the guard work. Like, blades are just a pain in the dick, but by creating that, that woven basket. Right now it is sitting at 15 7/8 overall, with a 10.5-inch blade. As I said earlier, I may take this blade down to 9.5 inches. I should really I should pull up my calculator here. So a 241 millimeter blade, I think, is probably ideal in this. The whole point, Rick, what I explained yesterday, the whole point with a French style chef's knife, this is what we call a German style, and this is meant to cut on a rocker like this. Whereas with a French style blade, it's very straight along here. There's not too much curve because you're pushing and cutting. So it's a totally different action. But when you're working in a restaurant kitchen and you've got to cut up, 20 pounds of celery and this and that, like, you want to be able to do large cuts all at one time. And so that's where that extra blade length really comes into play. But also for doing things like I get big salmon fillets in, and when I'm going ahead and prepping them, because I do a lot of vacuum packing and then freezing, but I'll prepare all my meals ahead of time. So when I'm trying to do a cut on a fillet that's almost 2 feet long, it's just really nice to have all that cutting edge instead of having to re-choke up on the knife and reposition it. But yes, in French style culinary arts, there used to be, I don't know how much emphasis there is on it now, but there used to be totally different cutting methods. And just like the Japanese school of cutting as well is a lot different than what you'll find in European culinary arts. or I should say Western culinary arts. Just want to see if I can bring this diagonally across the anvil, flatten that stuff right there. I mean, some of this I don't mind grinding. Some of that I don't mind leaving in. It looks nice. I mean, what I'd rather see is how does it feel in my hand. So far, so good. But yeah, when you let me reset this camera. So the top of this anvil right here, from the end all the way to my step right here, is 432 millimeters. And I would say we are probably 12 millimeters shy. Biggest thing is, how straight is that blade? Let me bring it on. You can kind of see the profile there. So there's a good shot of what we're going for. I still, basically this last inch here, I really kind of want to change the shape of it just a little bit. I want this point to line up right here with the bottom of this handle. But yeah, it is a hell of a knife. It's going to be a lot of fun to use in the kitchen. So far, I'm very happy with that. I'm going to grab a piece of KO wool here. It's a shape that you don't see too many bladesmiths doing anymore, and you don't see them commercially made. There's a lot of French inspired, but nothing that really is actually in the French vein. And I think there's only like 2 manufacturers that really do this style commercially anymore. What I understand is one of them was really good, but over the past 20 years or so, their quality has kind of fallen. I think opting for cheaper materials and things like that. But I already have a German knife. This is actually for my own personal roll. So, and this one, I consider this Uh, I consider this just a beater knife. It's a nice size, but I use this for cracking lobster open, uh, you know, breaking crab legs, things like that. So I'm not going to do that with a really with a Damascus knife, something that's a lot thinner, a little bit more delicate of an edge. With this thing though, I can really hack away at something if I need to, and I don't mind hitting some bones with it. Yeah, I don't like following the trends. I just like doing the inspiration that hits. I mean, maybe that means that I'm not selling, but at least I'm enjoying what I do. So I'm just wrapping that in this KO wool here, just to let that handle cool down, just a slower rate. The 1095 I'm not too worried about, but the 15N20 can really work harden as I drill through it. So if I break a drill doing it, then I guess I have to go into the annealing oven for 10 hours. But I really like to not do that step if I don't have to. So if I take 20 minutes and just let it cool down, so much nicer. I'll open up that back door and get a little draft coming in. If it was nighttime, I would actually my forge here. My forge here is actually I built a swing arm for it, so I can literally take my forge and I can push it outside this door, so it actually dumps all the heat outside the shop. Or I can, if I know that I'm working on the hydraulic press, I can face it towards the hydraulic press or the fly press, which is over here in the corner. You guys can't see, but if I'm working on the rolling mill or the power hammer behind me, it's just nice to be able to adjust where it is. Yeah, and I get a lot of people. I do a lot of gun shows and outdoor shows, or at least I used to until the whole country got shut down or the world got shut down. I know it's not just us. Um, but I relied on a lot of that for uh, I relied on that for income. But that's regardless of that. When you get strangers coming in, they look at your knives on the table, and they might look at the Pakistani guy a couple of tables away, and they're like, "Oh, shiny." They judge a knife by what it looks like. They don't bother putting it in their hand and actually indexing it and feel, is this knife actually appropriate for you? And I mean, so it's not the overall look. And when I'm teaching classes, I always tell people to stop looking with your eyes. Your eyes are shit at holding knives. And if you have both of your eyes, obviously your eyes have never held a knife. It's you need to close your eyes and put it in your hand and be honest with yourself. See where those adjustments need to happen. Ah, finally, the rain just started. Yay! It's where all that humidity was coming from today. It is. It's a beautiful day, though. Definitely. Yeah, the style of knife that I'm doing, occasionally you'll see a few of the older, who was that, like Sabret or something like that, uh, 17. Oh, I forget, uh, Sabatzi, some weird French name. Like you'll see those on eBay, and they'll be going for $300 to $600, but they're not being made anymore. I'm horrible with remembering English names, so trying to remember French names is uh, that's just a task that's probably not going to happen this lifetime. But a lot of them have, a lot of knives this style have seen an awful lot of abuse, and they've fallen into disrepair, and maybe they sit in somebody's kitchen drawer because it was no longer a good knife to have in the restaurant, and so someone took it home, and eventually it gets sold at a yard sale. Eventually, it just gets scrapped or thrown out. And I think it's kind of cool to preserve the heritage of certain knives. It's really neat to see the evolution of knives, and how things started out one way, and what changes have happened over the years. And I don't know, I just get to nerd out over it. Eventually, the whole back behind my shop is going to end up being paved in, in scale and slag. During the winter, I throw all my coal ash there and all my clinker. And I don't tend to fire up the coal forge too much during the summer. I'm already getting extremely dirty and then sweating and just being uncomfortable. And last thing I need is an extra, 2 layers of dirt to wash off when I'm done with work for the day. So we definitely have some heat going on here. I can really feel it through this through the wool blanket. If I didn't have a bunch of grinding to do and some straight lines to keep, I think this would be the perfect time to crack open a nice cold beer. By the time I get ready for heat treating, though, have to fire, probably end up firing up the forge for it. If I would have thought about it, I would have been down here in the morning and turned the molten salt pot on. As long as I'm quick about it, not going to have too much extra scale to clean up. But that molten salt is really nice for the following day, Well, that's still a good 1300 degrees there. You can see the color when I opened it up. Still glowing a nice cherry red. Let's put some weight on it. Just to keep it closed up. Again, if we have a nice slow cool down time, it just seems like that 15 and 20 doesn't give me as much of an issue when I'm trying to drill through it. And with this particular knife, let's see. I think I've got 1/8 inch pins that I'm going to be using for it. So, what is that? 3.175 millimeter bit. See, these whole little electronic devices really come in handy. Means I can do certain translations on the fly. So I'm just kind of letting this cool down. Like once it gets below 700, I'm good. That's our period where certain transformations are happening. Below 700, they're not really going to happen at all. Not for what I'm looking for as far as being able to drill through it. Just let that sit open air for a little bit. While that's happening, might as well do a little bit of shop maintenance. Always keep a nice oily rag floating around. Start getting tongs that they're in and out of the forge so often, they start oxidizing a little bit. And it just looks so much nicer when they're sitting on your rack and they're all polished up. Almost makes it look like you don't really use them too often. These are really rusted up. I don't even use them that often, but boy, they're getting tight. There we go. Just work it back and forth. If I need to, I guess I can always heat up the rivet boss area and just give it a few turns, but almost there. I've definitely been on a big knife kick lately. I I got to finish this one. See if put in the video here. This was just playing around with working with A2. I had never tried forging it before, and working with the air cooling steels is definitely interesting. But I got a whole bunch of these bars of A2 like this, so that's a pretty big bar, and so what the hell am I going to do with these? You ask and you shall receive. Well, now I just want it to go below 200, and then I can safely cool it off in water. I mean, technically, I don't think it would do anything to it right now. We're probably in a 300-degree range. Which I don't know what that is in centigrade. I might have to F2C. So where I think it is, about 320, so 160 degrees centigrade. Wow, 320 divided in half is 160. So that's kind of interesting. I my my ex-wife is Canadian, so I had to learn a little bit of a centigrade. That's when I learned that negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit is also negative 40 degrees centigrade. And apparently that's kind of common in Canada, at least where she's from. Yeah, I can touch it now. I don't want to hold my hand on it. It was just a little, like, it was probably about 210, maybe 212, because I did hear a little sizzling, but splash some water up on that slowly. But that feels really nice in the hand. The weight is really good, and I know it's just going to get better as I grind this up. I'm not going to be taking too much off of our edge here. I do have a little warp that is going to need to be addressed. But when I'm working with Damascus like this, a lot of times I'm really just trying to take the crud off, get all the oxidation off. I don't want to take too much material away right now. I would rather grind it slowly, after heat treat with some ceramics. Oh, I know. There's gosh, you walk into the store now. There's a whole line of forged in fire knives and cookware. But they saw it on TV, so it's got to be good. So let's move this camera around a little. Reposition and let's take some of this crap off here. So I'm just using magnets on here. That way I can hold the piece, and I like to work the flat of the wheel. I'm fairly happy with my consistency and thickness just from hammering. But yeah, I definitely need to straighten out just a little bit on this edge. I don't have too many hammer marks, so hitting this with a ceramic belt after heat treat is not going to be a big issue. Just got to keep the heat down. Make sure I'm not putting too much pressure on it. It's always different when you're doing this stuff live. If it was just me here in the shop by myself, I'd probably fire up the forge again and go back through the whole cooling thing, but I kind of want to keep it moving, so I'll deal with it later on in order to keep this stream going. Now, there is something I want to go ahead and address before I get too far on in the process here. I'm just going to use a piece of steel for this. I'm just marking out where I think I need to do some minor alterations to the blade shape. Again, these are just references for me. So let's see if we can do that now. So the first thing that I'm doing is I'm bringing that tip down. Again, bring it in line with the bottom of my handle. Then I'm going to cheat just a little bit. Instead of trying to grind this with the wheel to get it flat, okay. Let's do just a little cleaning up back here at the choil. Now I'm just using the edge of the belt for this. I just want to take out my deeper hammer marks. Or all my hammer marks really, but make sure we have nice straight lines. So that's getting it. Oh. We'll reset that camera. So we're starting to get a nice profile to that handle area. This is where I should be wearing a brightly colored shirt. Oh, turn this way. I'd also have to mess with the focus ring on that camera. But what I want to see is comes back on my hand. Yeah, I like that. So Bring up a little bit right there. And just going to hit the transition area on this. There we go. That's looking pretty darn good. Close to what I'm going for as far as style goes. So let's turn our attention. Yeah, we were talking about the wah style handles, which is that, you know, a lot of times you see them as octagonal grips or oval grips, or another thing that you see with wah style handles is they can actually be made to be right or left-handed. So when you're dealing with Japanese knives that have a single bevel, that really makes sense, because you can actually have a right-handed or a left-handed knife. I've always really liked them, but I kind of suck at making them. At least the traditional style wah handles. Um, One of these days, I will really, I'll concentrate on it and I'll really get it done. But for now, I've done full tang knives that are still very octagonal as far as the grip goes. Who knows? I may even do that with this. I have a piece of Cerakote that I want to use for this. And I think 3 pins will match. Yep. Match this other one here. The problem with doing those single bevel knives is that they really benefit from having a hollow on the other side, and that's in order to keep that flat. If you know, you want to keep the one side completely flat, and the other side is where the bevel, the edge comes down to. But if you have to grind even a minor bevel on the offside, it defeats the purpose of the knife. The other thing is that it takes a little bit getting used to as far as you're working with a knife that's actually handed. So it drifts one way or the other. So I'm just getting this set up. Get a little close up there, I guess, on the drill press. So my drill press here is 120 years old. It's a hand crank drill press, and it was made just 10 miles down the road. Place called Champion, which you've probably heard of, Champion blowers. They were really big as far as blacksmithing equipment here in the States goes, and I know there's a bunch of guys in Europe that, you know, really go after them. But what's nice about this hand crank drill press is it cuts through everything like butter. You can probably see I'm getting some really nice curls coming out of there. There we go. Then I just reverse it, back it off. Let's wonder if I can move this just a hair. Lens is probably a little dirty. Close enough for government work. So what I like about this is that it automatically feeds down, and the rotation is all controlled by the movement of your arm. But it's not moving. Even my I have a Rockwell drill press that was made in 1954. It doesn't have variable speed on it per se. I mean, other than a belt. But it still spins too fast for some of the steels that I use here in the shop, even at its slowest speed of 600 RPM. And so here I can really control the RPM. I mean, I could never, my arm personally would never work to get it up to 600 RPM, but that's way too fast for this stuff. But you just get such a nice clean hole. And I mean, I've used this particular machine to drill a 1-inch hole through 2-inch plate before, so it really doesn't take much effort. It just cuts like butter. You just got to make sure that your drill is nice and sharp. There we go. A little bit of a hard spot. Oh, but we're through. So all 3 holes are drilled. Cool. Now this camera can go back to living on the table there. Yeah, I have a museum as well. I mean, it's not really a museum. I mean, I like to think of it as reclaiming tools that other people would just kind of put, they'd put them on the wall of their basement or, God forbid, in some restaurant or something because it looks cool. So I'm just going to take the burrs off. So now comes the fun part. Let's move this camera back. So I'm just going really, really low as far as the heat goes. And I want to find, what do we got? Severe thunderstorm watch expires in 6 hours. Seems like we get those all the time. So I'm just getting my touch mark out. I just created a holder that holds my touch mark for me, which is really nice. Get my phone out of the way. So before I do any straightening or anything like that, I'm going to heat up and put my touch mark on this blade. Find the right weight hammer for that. Well, it sure beats the hell out of putting something on your anvil and then having to hold it with a pair of tongs and, you know, getting it nice and even this way. I just, I hold it and I strike consistently, and it's always the same mark every single time. And I created this one, essentially, and I'll bring it over to the main camera. So my touch mark just sits right in here. So you put it in, slide your blade in, get into the right position, and then just smack it. It essentially is a modification on a guillotine tool. I happen to have a plasma CNC table, so it's easy enough to make those parts. There we go. Some nice clean strike. Now this at this stage of the game, after I go ahead and do that, when I'm straightening everything out, I really like to position my piece upright in the forge. The floor of my forge isn't exactly flat, so you know, if you leave a blade in there too long, it's going to end up sagging. Especially when you have one that's, you know, as thin as this is. Well, rain stopped for now. So I'm going to get everything set up for normalizing this blade. I like to use an aluminum block to do this. It's really not necessary, but I have it, so I might as well do it. Milling and turners, huh? I have a milling machine and a lathe, and I enjoy them both, but I am not an expert in either of their uses. But God, are they such fun toys. I can make stuff, just don't ask me to make stuff to spec. Again, we're just straightening that edge out. I really can't wait to use this knife in the kitchen. I mean, that's the real fun part about being a bladesmith who's also a foodie is you get to make. I guess a lot of chefs I know don't think about their knives. It's a tool, and I get it. You want it to be sharp, you want it to do the job, but you don't sit there and just stare at your knives all day long or think about the next knife. It's just a tool that you use to do a job. Just like your mechanic doesn't probably sit around at night thinking about wrenches and screwdrivers. It's just I enjoy making stuff that I'm going to use. Just a just a little bit of an arc there. Let's see if we can. Let's use this hydraulic press. I've got some long dies in there. Still a slight warp to that edge. Yeah, it's like you want to hurry up and get done. It's time to use it already. Hold on a second. I'm getting lit up with text messages. I'll get back to you later on this afternoon. I am broadcasting live on Twitch right now. There we go, Eric. I mentioned you on the Twitch stream. On a night where you're not actually here in the shop, Eric's actually out in Los Angeles. Working hard in LA. Or hardly working, I don't know. There we go. That's straightening out. I just want to bring all these back to center. I didn't grind my bevel on. There's not really much of a bevel to speak of anyway. It's closer to zero grind on this knife. Another run under the hydraulic press, and then I'm going to turn around, check the handle, and then I can start my normalization. Which also means I can finally crack a beer for the day. Yay! I mean, come on, it's almost 7 o'clock in London. Or it is 7 o'clock in London. Oh, that looks so much better. I don't really think the handle needs anything at all, but I will do it just to say that I did. So again, I'm not going super hot with this. Maybe just a little bit. Right? There we go. Just to say that I did it. All right, so just double check. Slight warps. These are the things that you really want to get out before you go ahead and do your heat treat. Yeah, I guess there's a certain amount of warps that you can grind out of a blade. but you'd rather not if you don't have to. So the fun part is to get this to balance. I want it. And this is just the blade that we're working on here. So, and all I'm doing is a normalization process on the steel. Want to relax it. So what I really want to do is I want to take this. I want to turn up my gas pressure. I'm really looking to take this about 200 degrees or so over my above my austenitic temperature. See, it's time for that beer already. I have an electric oven. I mean, there's no reason why I couldn't be doing this whole normalization process digitally controlled and everything else, except for the fact that I'd rather do it live on stream. This is the way I teach it in class as well, mainly because we're doing 2 knives in a class, and we don't necessarily have 20 hours to devote to a electronically controlled normalization cycle. But I do want to keep this moving in and out of the forge just to make sure that I'm getting a nice even heat on here. This blade is long enough that it reminds me of doing swords. Just trying to get the heat to bleed back a little bit into this tang. Looks like I need to reset that camera again. Come on, Nikon. Fix your webcam utility beta. Hundreds of dollars worth of camera equipment that shuts itself off every 28 minutes. Just want to check this for straightness. So far, so good. rocking a little bit there. Oh, just making sure it's not bowing it at all. Right now it is 2:19. 1,419 minutes. So I guess where you are, it's about 9 over there. Yes. Yeah, it does. It does actually say in the chat window. Okay, 8:19. Rick, glad to see you're still with us. Hadn't heard anything from you in a while. I didn't know you were still there or not. How are those knives coming? That's not bad. And it looks like we only, like I said earlier, we had an 1 minute and 12-second delay. So that's perfectly livable. I bet you it's a PC, isn't it? I think it's awesome that the ability. It's we've got an international community here watching because it's evening there and everybody here is still working. So the only people that are watching are the people that are slacking off at work. So they're not going to post in the chat room because their boss will find out potentially. My problem is that when doing all this audio video stuff, now I have it all running on a PC, but it is by no means consistent. Things change every single time I go to broadcast. It takes me 15, 20 minutes just to make sure that everything is working. Even though it was working 8 hours before, I still need to double check. But with my Mac, which we do a similar thing every other Friday night, me and my nerdy friends, we play, D&D together, and we're all scattered around the country. So we stream it over Twitch, and there I use my Mac, and it's just it's always the same every single time. It's kind of built for doing this audio video stuff. But I'm also a Linux nerd, so I like having a good command line. Yeah, that's the other thing I don't like. I just the other day I came out here and all of a sudden it told me that I installed Microsoft Edge. And I'm like, I don't use Microsoft Edge. Why would you even install it and update it? I use Chrome on this computer and that's it. So don't give me a web browser I'm never going to use, and security updates that are only for that browser, and I don't know. Just give me a choice when I get to do my updates. And don't do them quietly in the background so that when I try to do a very fast reboot, that, all of a sudden it takes 5 minutes because it's installing a whole bunch of crap I didn't know was queued up. So we're looking pretty good. This is our third and final normalizing cycle. Yes. So that's one of the reasons why I like Mac OS, because it's built on top of a BSD core. And I pull up the terminal and I do what I need to do. And it's very, very similar to BSD, and I'm also a Linux guy. I have a machine here that just runs that I just SSH into. And all that stuff's built into Mac. Whereas with Windows, getting all the Unix style or Linux style, BSD style programs I need to interact with my headless boxes, I don't know. It's too scary for me. Yeah, weren't you saying yesterday that you're like 50 kilometers from Denmark? Or no, from... Okay. Now I'm reading it. Let's see. Just giving a little nudge here. Just something I wanted to address. Hopefully that won't be too much of a problem when I go to quench this. I think some of this might be my eyes, but no, Nathan, I am not done yet. I'm just getting ready to quench. And I've only just cracked my first beer. So I'm really slacking today. Yeah, you're sitting down sanding knives. I'm just getting ready to quench. If there's a slight warp, I can deal with it. I've got some really cool tricks. But if it's a major warp, then boy, then it's just fucked. That's one of the reasons why I hate doing blades this size and so thin. Uh, Man, it can really just It can become a nightmare. Oh, they're all buried, Nate. I cleaned up. So what's interesting, Rick, is that so we've got about a 30-second window from coming out of the quench where we can straighten this blade by hand. You know, if you have a good pair of gloves on, you can go ahead and just straighten it all up. That's one way to do it. I've got these big 6-inch long dies in the hydraulic press. I can use those. And another method is I'll actually go through and do my first cycle in my heat treat, and then I'll do another cycle or even another 2 cycles with it clamped straight. But let's get prepared. That means I need to make sure I have a beer ready. Get some gloves on. I'm going to leave this camera right here pointed at the anvil just in case. Just in case I do use the anvil to have to straighten this. I have a buddy of mine that always yells, "Odin!" Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's a slight warp right there, and just as the martensite's forming. So I just did that with my hands. Now I just pulled it out nice and straight. That's not something you see too often, but I had an old guy show me that years and years ago. So it's cool to pass it on. See, I had a slight warp in there, but just bent it out with my gloved hands over the anvil. I've never put it between boards, but I have I have used angle iron. Cool. Got my 1095 program all set up in the even kill or even heat. Yeah, man, those old guys, they knew every trick of the trade. But the thing is that you have to work fast. You can't hesitate. You need to know exactly what you need to do and do it as fast as possible. If you only have about half a minute, and as that martensite starts solidifying, your window closes. So, but yes, a new knife is born. It is done. Now we've got a few more hours in the got 3 cycles going on for the heat treat. I tend to do 3 cycles on my kitchen knives. Just like to take them up in steps and cool them down in between. Um, but this particular piece, in order to bring it down to uh, that 58 Rockwell that I'm kind of looking for, I think my program finishes right around 450. But with the 1095, I'm using Parks 50, which is an 11-second quench oil. So I got it in there for 11 seconds, pulled it out right away, straightened it out, and then got it into the tempering oven. The reason I'm going for 58 Rockwell on this knife is I don't want, if I was up in like the 61, 62 range, for as thin as this edge is, it's really going to be easy to chip. So I there are certain steels that you can keep in that really high Rockwell uh, range, especially steels with a little bit of chromium, but then they also need to have molybdenum in them. Molybdenum actually fills in, like, chromium when you look at it. If you looked at it molecularly or under a scope, uh, when you get that really fine edge on there, it almost looks like the surface of an orange. So if it doesn't have enough molybdenum in there, what molybdenum does is it fills in those voids, and so it makes it nice and smooth. So if you're using a steel that has chromium in it, make sure that it has molybdenum in it, and then also vanadium for retarding the grain growth. But that's a whole bunch of nerdy stuff that maybe I don't need to go into in a live stream. This is definitely stuff that should just go into our Patreon for supporters. The boring tutorial stuff that only us real knife nerds really ever want to know. So Nate, how's your dragon mask going? My Rick, my advice to you is to pick one steel that you want to learn about and learn as much as you can about that one steel and then move on. When you start learning about, uh, when you start learning about, 5, 6, 7 different types of steel all at once, things start getting they start getting jumbled up in your head. You want to be able to know it all by writ. It needs to come out there, and then you add another steel on and another steel and another steel. I'm not saying that I remember everything that I've ever learned, but it makes a lot more sense when I go back and just look at it briefly and I go, okay, now I remember why, or now I remember exactly what I'm talking about with this steel. So, fix. Do you have an Instagram? I'd love to see these pieces. Which reminds me, I totally forgot to take a picture of this knife while it was hot, sitting on the anvil during the normalization. Should have posted that on the Instagram. Yeah, yesterday's stream, we were actually talking a lot about white paper and blue paper. Uh, if I don't know how it is in Denmark, but if you're having trouble finding it, I really highly suggest W1 and W2. They're not the same, but you can get a lot of similar results out of them. And I know it's an older steel that a lot of guys have stopped using. But sometimes the classics are a classic for a reason. I'll look you up. I don't know which account I'm under, but I have two different Instagram accounts. Rick's Raven 77. That's why I love W2. I mean, W2 can be 1.1%, but you've really got to be careful. And I think that's why a lot of guys have steered away from it, is because it's not idiot proof to get it right. Oh man, I like the your post from July 17th there. Some nice forging. That's a cool shot with that on the wood block there. I'll put you in. I have another account that I just do all my a lot of my food stuff, and my 5-year-old tends to steal a lot of the posts as well. But yeah, I have my life, which is Underhill Forge, or sorry, my life, which is Underhill Outdoors, and then my knife making, which is Underhill Forge. where basically I'm just posting a lot of food at Underhill Outdoors because I spend a lot of my free time cooking. Yeah, it's it, with the paper seals. I meant to look this up after I stopped streaming yesterday, uh, but I think it's I kind of mentioned the Toshiba Corporation. I think that's who it is. It could be Mitsubishi for all I know. Uh, but they make white and blue steel like once a year. Um, and that's where I think that's where a lot of our white and blue paper steel comes from here in the United States. But the price is up there because it's made in such limited quantities. But I found with things as far as activity goes, um, I've been able to get a lot of the same sort of that Hamon and Sori to really get that kind of definition uh, using W2 or even W1, and those are relatively easy stills for me to get here. Um, I've accidentally done it with O1, uh, not ever trying it. It just kind of happened. That was in my early days of forging O1. And it was the happy little accident that just happens and you're like, oh man, how do I repeat this? And then you try to repeat it and it never fails. It just doesn't come out the exact same way. Maybe you're 50 degrees or 75 degrees off, one way or the other. All right, so you're doing a lot of chef's knives. See, this is the thing that I really enjoy is the fact that it's not just about me working. I could have ended this stream 5 minutes ago, but now I actually get to learn stuff about the people who take the time to watch. So that's really cool. I'm fortunate enough that I'm enough of a nerd that I could set up this streaming setup, which I think is pretty cool. I don't think I've seen another blacksmith with this kind of setup as far as streaming online goes. But let's face it, a lot of guys' shops are, you know, I have fiber internet in here and computers built onto the wall, so it's a lot easier for me to do that. It is nice to take these safety glasses off, though. Those things really do not breathe. I see you've got a little one as well. They mine just started school this week, so it's so weird. For the past 5 years, she's been in my life every single day, and now she's with her mom and going to school all the time, and So I figure I might as well do this streaming stuff to occupy my quote unquote free time. Well, the thing with chef's knives is that it's literally a tool that you expect absolute consistent results on. Another one. Wow. Yeah, I've got a 20-year-old boy and a 5-year-old daughter, so one of them was a whoops. But I told them I'd reveal which one was which in my will. So hopefully we've still got a few years before that's read. But what I was saying with chef's knives, unlike like a camp knife, with a camp knife, it's kind of just a general utility blade that gets used a little bit here, a little bit there, and you're not you're not always doing the same operation with it. Whereas with a chef's knife, when you cut a tomato, you want that tomato to cut the same way the 18th time as it did the first and second time. So and especially the end users, um, you need to make it consistent for them. I mean, as a knife maker, we're always willing to say, well, okay, this is oh, it's got its little idiosyncratic behaviors. I can deal with that. But when you're making it for someone, especially someone who does it for a living, um, that's their livelihood. They need to work as fast as possible to with a minimal amount of effort. Yeah, and you know I see some guys doing kitchen knives that they have they have these essentially bevels like what I would use on a camp knife or on a utility knife. And really with a chef's knife, I unless I'm doing something uh, more along the lines of like some of the Japanese blades where I'm only doing a single bevel and flat or a convex or concave on the other side. Uh, I really don't want you to see where that bevel starts and stops. I want it. If you cut that knife in half, I want a consistent tapering almost all the way down from the spine towards that edge. But yeah, overheating, especially with the type of steels that you're using. Um, when you're using something like 1084, uh, which I know I'm not speaking the same numbers that you guys are using in Europe. Um, but with 1084, that's much more forgivable. I can overheat that steel and still get great performance out of it. But like O1, if I hit that too hot, uh, I can get it to crumble. W2 is especially that way. W2 is uh, boy, you get that up to like 2150 and you hit it, and next thing you know, you start developing microfractures in it. The same as what you would if you were hitting it at 1350. Um, so it really it has a narrow uh, window where it likes to be forged. Okay, so you're using a lot of the U.S. names. There's I have followed certain people on different forums in years past, and it was almost as though they were speaking gibberish because they're talking about all these weird tectoid steels or whatever, and I'm like, okay, I have no idea what steel you're talking about here, and then they throw out some like, well, it's comparable to this. So you differentiate between chef's knives and kitchen knives. That's interesting. I mean, I get it. You can have two different price points, which is smart. Um, I tend to make things as though they're going to be used in a professional kitchen and price them accordingly. And if you want my knife for home use, then you're going to spend the same thing that a professional is going to spend on it. Maybe that's kind of a dickish way to look at it. Maybe it's shooting myself in the foot as far as limiting the market. But hold on a second. I have an empty beer. I need to go grab another one. I don't know why you'd cook at home if you weren't into food. I have very high expectations for the home chef. Uh, if you're just throwing together a burger and fries, and if they came in a pre-wrapped package, you probably don't need one of my knives. You'll be very well off with one from a $20 knife from Target or from Walmart. Yeah, but soccer moms wish that they could be driving the Ferrari. I'm the same way. Food was my first love. Um, Now I make knives so that I can use them in my kitchen, and incidentally, I can also sell them. But really, it's all about increasing my toy collection, and then when I get bored with it, or I decide to change something up and make something new, then I can get rid of the piece that I was using and replace it in my roll. As a matter of fact, speaking of which, I actually brought my roll down here today. This one's empty, and I brought a bunch of knives down to the shop so I could go ahead and clean some up and sharpen some up. There you go. There's basically none of my knives in my roll match. They're all like one-off designs. There's one knife that I never use, but I kind of want to have. I'd love to make myself a paring knife that makes me want to use it. Um, I've been doing a lot of oysters lately. So an actual oyster shucking knife would be really nice. And now I've got this 9.5 inch. Well, I haven't actually measured it, but it's really close to 9.5 inch. Uh, French chef's knife. So, and we're getting there. There we go. It's kind of hard to do this on your knees, instead of on an actual surface. So, so what do you mean by you never? Oh, you never draw it out on paper, huh? Yeah, I tend to I do a lot of what I call free flow forging. When I once I start getting into it, everything things just kind of talk to you. Now with this the French style knife, I did that because I've I've wanted one, and you don't see them out there, so I wanted to do something that is not popular. Of course, now watch, 6 months from now, people will start doing this style of knife because maybe this YouTube video goes viral. Not that a 3-hour video or live stream can ever go viral, but the hardcore knife nerds, they'll watch this and they know it's up, and someone else will make one, and someone better than me will come along that has the audience for it, and next thing you know, it starts the whole trend again. But that's what it's all about, right? Yeah, some of those knives, I mean, I made years ago. Um, One of them I just made a week and a half ago, which is actually what inspired what I was working on today. Hey, Bill, how you doing? I was wondering if you were going to join in. We got some friends from Germany, from Denmark, New Jersey, and now we're drinking a beer and just enjoying the day. You missed the quench. We call it a carving set because it's not necessarily. I mean, we're not doing a lot of the big roasts, the big beef roasts and stuff aren't as extremely popular here in the states as not like they were say back in the 50s and 60s. You still see them, at like certain restaurants where they might have a carving station set up. But a lot of people, we still have holidays here where, we're cooking a turkey or uh, to a lesser extent a goose or, something along those lines. And so it's a carving knife. So long as it isn't one of those carving knives with a fork at the actual tip. Those things annoy the hell out of me. Like I said, Bill, just drinking beer. I did my I did my 3 hours of streaming actual work. So now we're just we're padding the live stream by talking to Rick here in Denmark about knife making. He makes a lot of chef's knives, so yeah, exactly. But so Rick, what I was talking about though is there's I've seen them many places where it's a knife that's almost as long as that French knife that I just did, but the very end of it is forked, and I'm just like, what the hell is that thing for? I don't know. It's as though companies make stuff, and then people think that because it was being made that it was a good idea. Now, Nate, I know you're probably out there listening somewhere. This is where we actually need to get uh, the Discord audio chat going and integrated. That way, I don't have to sit here and read this. People can just talk, and then of course we can figure out how to get video, and well, then we start a whole nother sort of podcast thing. Where we forge and also discuss shit. Male Karens are called Chads. Yeah, see, like I would love to. Rick, it would be awesome if I could have you on camera as well, and here on the live stream, and we could all just sit here and drink beer, and Nate could join in, except for the fact that his HDMI capture card fried last night. I mean, no one wants to sit here and read along and listen to me talk. This would be horrible in a car. This is definitely not a road trip thing. Drinking beer isn't an idea, it's a lifestyle choice. And it's a lifestyle choice that I think is really, really common amongst my fellow blacksmiths and bladesmiths. I don't know too many that don't. And I don't know that I would trust too many of them that don't either. Uh, it's finally Bill. Is it piss and rain down where you are? I mean, I know you're about an hour south of me because it's really coming down here. Oh boy, I wonder. My ducks are probably either out playing in it or they're in the house. In their house, not my house. Rick, I feel the same way. I'm almost never pissed, but there are many days where I just feel tipsy all the time. Really, it's not raining down there, but it's piss and rain here, huh? Like I can barely see outside right now. It's letting up a little bit, but for some odd reason, I always think of the rain coming in from your area into my area. You're also further west than I am too, so it's not very often that we have a storm come in from the east. So, Rick, what's the weirdest request that you've gotten as far as chef's knives go? I can only imagine since you're offering them at two different tiers, for the home cook and also for the professional chef. I'm sure you've gotten some weird ones from people that are home cooks that wish they were professional but don't have that kind of budget. So the problem with epoxy is that I have a lot of epoxies that set, in about, they say 5 minutes, but they're really more like 20 minutes. But I don't know of any epoxy that actually that sets in less than 24 hours. The whole thing with that is that, well, actually, I know of some that set that are UV curing, and one or two that are, they're actually closer to, say, like the fiberglass type resin epoxies, and they're heat curing, but and they work in about 2 hours. Yeah, isn't it amazing? Isn't it amazing how people think that? Well, I have a YouTube cooking show, and so I'll mention your name if you give me a knife for free. All right, one more beer, and then I'm getting out of here for the day. You guys talk amongst yourselves. Be nice. Oh, look at that. Camera froze. Mid pose. That's just beautiful. Seriously, Nikon, get your shit together. Fix your damn webcam drivers. Yes, Tim, you missed all the fun. How are things down in Lancaster? Here, I'll pull it out just to show you what has been forged. So here you go. We are looking at let's do a final measure on this because I did not get a chance to do that. So our blade length is still technically we are at 10 5/8 on the blade. And 15 7/8 overall. Yeah, Tim, it's already storming here. But yes, that's our. So that is the French style chef's knife that forged today. Or actually forged yesterday and finished up today. Back into the heat treat oven. So Jurgen, you're gonna make me have to let's see, pull out some of these crazy German characters that we don't get to use very often in English. It's the umlaut, you know. That does look like a Saleh. Cool. I see Rick just followed you. So now you need to start posting some stuff. I'll follow you with my other account as well. Hold on, I'm mesmerized by the search feature. There's some girl with boobs. I don't know what she's saying because I'm not listening, but it looks really entertaining, whatever she's talking about. There you go. That's the cleanest you've seen the shop. Oh, Jesus, Nate. And of course, you got to be a critic. But you're absolutely right. You don't need to see how the sausage is made. You just need to know that the sausage is good. And it's still not clean, Tim. I still have this over my shoulder here, all this stuff, next to the wood rack and the clamp rack. But our shop manager hasn't actually been in the shop since February, so if this all falls on me for keeping it the way that it is. Boy, I don't know if you guys can hear that, but there's some thunder and lightning going on outside. Shop tour next live stream. That means there's 30% of the shop that I need to clean up yet. I don't know that I'm ready to do that. Um, Rico, I'm trying to go live as often as possible, and now that my daughter started school, I've got a lot of weekdays free. So I'm trying to set up a schedule of essentially going live either at noon or at 8 o'clock my time. So it really depends, I guess, on what I'm working on. The weird thing is I'm looking at the analytics and I'm getting a lot of views between 9 p.m. and 11 p.m. my time, which is like what 3 a.m. for you guys. So I like doing this stuff at noon because I can get people, on the west coast of the United States. It's only 9 a.m. People can still jump in. Uh, in London, it's 5. Where you are, it's 7. So I think I would like to just keep on doing the noon thing, with the occasional, late night forging session here at the shop. It just means that I have to keep on challenging myself and figuring out different things that I need to do or want to do. Um, there's that I'll never run out of ideas. I have the setup, so I might as well just keep on doing it. And I also need to be prepared to fuck up on screen every once in a while. But that's kind of what life is all about. Tim, I tried to, um, but I don't know that starting at 10 a.m. is really like, I don't know. I didn't crawl out of bed until 9:40 today. It's really nice when I'm not teaching a class to be able to sleep in. I'm I'm so conditioned though that over the past several years, I've had a little princess who essentially needs my attention the moment she wakes up. So this is a new thing. I don't think I've slept until 9:40 in the morning since I was a bartender. What, 12, 15 years ago? But you can always go back and watch the live stream from the day before. You just can't. Interacting is going to be horrible, though. It's just not going to work. And what I'd like to do is, with with the whole Patreon account, is I would love to do something like this with Patreon supporters, where essentially it's you know drinking beer, Q&A, live questions, get the whole Discord thing set up so people can actually ask them, by voice and join in. And then you'd actually be allowed here in the shop physically. I'll even give you a lavalier mic so people can hear you. I don't know. I figure I've been doing this for 25 years. I should have something to say about it. Oh, Nate, are you talking? I didn't realize that you were talking. I have you muted. Now I don't. Are are you talking now? Oh wait. Discord asked me earlier today about changing something, and I bet you it had something to do with the user settings, voice, output device. There we go. Okay. So we should hear you now. Maybe. Of course, I don't know if you're even talking. But if you were, the the speaker is on, so and I'm sitting right in front of it. I turned it off though because I was worried that you would do something weird, while I was forging today and just creep me the hell out. So I was like, I don't need to have Nate popping in on video chat when I'm not expecting him. Oh, you are talking. Well, I don't see you talking. See, but this is the time of day that we figure this stuff out because this is the end of the broadcast. There's nothing really important going on. Oh wait. Ah. Nothing really important. Now I'm hearing something.
Oh, you hearing something now?
Oh, I'm hearing something now.
There you go.
See, it's Nate's creepy voice.
Hi.
Yeah, see, that's what I don't want to have happen during a live stream.
Oh, that's you gotta do it. It's just gonna be one of those. Never gonna tell you exactly when I show up, and it's just gonna be one of those things right in the middle of something. Just be like, Jay, just make you mess up.
Yeah, see, and that's what's gonna freak me out. Hey Rico, thank you very much for watching today, brother. I hope we see you soon. Tune in anytime just to say hi. I appreciate your company.
Why
has
is this
been a
terrifying,
blast.
Tim? It shouldn't be terrifying to you. You know what I sound like.
But you have this kind of ethereal voice from God going on.
Oh,
And I realize that this is still recording into YouTube, but that's where Tim's watching from, so it's also going into Twitch, but who the hell cares? So, Tim, what you were talking about a couple of weeks ago, the ability to host a class here, but have you remotely. This is kind of what Nate and I have been fucking around with. The technology's in place. The idiots in charge of it are not necessarily all that good at it. Well, I don't know. Tim, can you join us on Discord right now? Or are you too busy working?
No,
'Cause
maybe. Sign into Discord and log into the chat room. Let's go.
Tim, if it helps, I would grab one of your 16-year-old or 17-year-old. They'll tell you how to use Discord. Look for the server Mr. Underhill.
Go. Let's see.
Yes, it's kind of like Gopher combined with. Sorry, combined with Usenet. And the command line is ./discord.gg.
I already got it for him. I put it in the comments.
Oh. Oh, okay. No, Tim's just being difficult.
Well, I mean, it's Tim, so,
He does this stuff for a living, so I think he knows what he's doing. He probably knows a lot more about this stuff than we do.
Now, it's in the Underhill Forge. Is that locked? Will he be able to join us? Or will he have permissions to join us?
Well, he has to join the server. And then I can create. Let's see. How did I get all these friends on Discord?
What do you mean? Which friends?
It's all the guys. All the developers from Foundry.
What do you mean? How do you get them out of your thing or into your thing?
No, apparently I when I go to add friends.
Yes, it's whoever you're in a room with. They will give you an option to add. So essentially, we need to add Tim, whatever his Discord name is, as a friend to our list. Add him as a friend, to a friend, and then we can bring him into the Underhill server.
Okay, well, Tim, give us your Discord name. Type it into the chat room. Timmy. Fitz and the Fool. Says no results found. Now that could be my own problem.
Add a friend.
Yeah. See, here's how I fix that problem. I'm going
Timmy,
to
do you have a number
I'm
sign
going to
and
make
numbers after
Nate
your
the
fits in the
administrator.
full? Like at the bottom, it'll have in the bottom corner where it shows you, and it has the microphone headset and the user settings. There will be a number sign and numbers. There you go, 9326. All right. Boop. Just sent you another lovely little friend request there, Timmy.
So Nate, I just made you an administrator.
Hey, Fitzy just accepted my friend's request. So now I can swing
So
back
you
over.
can go ahead and add him on there.
Yup. Invite sent to the Underhill server. Boop. Now he's in. And now he wants to.
Yes, Jurgen, we followed you and probably added you as well. So there you go. Who knows? It's a great marketing tool.
So now that you're in, did you go up and click on the anvil, obviously on the left upper left hand, Tim, and join? That'll bring you into the Mr. Hill server room, and then you want to click on the Underhill Forge voice channel where Jay and I are.
Yes, this is where we're actually talking. We know that YouTube chat delay sucks. It is off by 1 minute and 12 seconds. We figured that out yesterday and again today. I see that you're typing on Discord. Boy, now I need to grab yet another beer. Thanks a lot. You guys are driving me to drink. Technology. Nate, are you able to get him into the server room?
He's in the server room. I'm just waiting. Like, he's just got to click on the voice channel. As far as I am aware, that's all he should have to do.
This is cool to figure this out at the tail end of the broadcast, because who cares about this end? I can just keep it streaming. But there's really no way to test this live in like a development way. I mean, I guess I can go ahead and reconfigure my
Voice channel drops me to Twitch. What?
private YouTube channel,
crap?
but what's he mean by voice channel drops him to Twitch?
I don't know.
Well, it shouldn't drop you to Twitch.
No, not at all. Yes, see that one that has a big lock on it that says Underhill Forge? That's what you want to click on. Let's see.
Jurgen, I'm sorry you're sitting there like watching all of our technical bullshit, but you know, this is how the actual sausage gets made. I guess I'll go back later and cut this stuff out of the YouTube live stream and out of the Twitch live stream, but I guess in the meantime, enjoy the ride.
Permissions.
Did you finally find him? Ah, I see him. Fits in the floor.
Try clicking again. I think I've given you permission to enter the chat room.
He's definitely there. He's definitely invited.
Yeah.
I do a lot of stuff in SheetCam. One area of the forge that you can't see, I have a plasma CNC table. So that's a lot of cam work with it. But since it's plasma CNC, I'm doing everything two-dimensionally. So I do all my design work in Inkscape. And then I just save it as a DXF file, import it into SheetCam, do my cut in, cut outs, you know. I wanted to do Fusion 360, but it was just it's not fast for me. With doing everything in 2D layout, it's just really quick. I can draw something in 30 seconds, and 15 seconds after that, I've got it all laid out in SheetCam, and all I have to do is place the material and start cut. But yeah, I mean, if you're just doing, you know, knife blades and you're just doing them as far as profiling the blade, check out Inkscape. Because you can go ahead and save that as a DXF file. So there's no real reason to overcomplicate the process. Yeah, our buddy Tim that we're trying to get into this chat room right now. I think he gets a free version for having been in the military or something like that. So Tim, what do you mean you can't click the Underhill Forge? I
You
mean,
hold your
unless of
horses.
course you're actually talking about UHF.
No, it's yeah. He's talking about the Underhill Forge room, and it still had a big lock on it. So I told him to close out and restart to see if it changes the lock on the channel for him.
Oh, he's in the public house.
Yeah,
We're
I
all
can
in
I
the
can get
public
the public
house?
house. Underhill Forge is still locked. It tells me
Well, that's fine. We're all in the public house. Now I
Oh,
have no
that's
idea
easy then.
why my
Hi.
lights just changed. Hey Tim. Unfortunately, I'm still hearing everything on a delay.
Well, that's because you're still standing in front of everything. All right. So
No, it's because I'm actually my 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 Bluetooth monitors are actually listening to the Twitch stream.
Oh, okay. I got you. So
Because I'm using the output to the HDMI on the wall to bring it into OBS. I don't know. If it was a Mac, I'd just create a symbolic link and there we go. Yes, Tim, you're right. SolidWorks is awesome.
you can afford that sort of thing. I mean,
no,
Is
they
it
just they have
still
a
there?
huge veteran and educator discount.
well, I ain't neither of those things. So you know.
You know, what we need to do is we've been teaching here at Underhill Forge since, what, 2014? So
Dude.
how do we get accredited?
Yeah. Channel missions.
Somebody is echoing there.
Connect, speak. Oh, hold on. There we go.
Well, you
Save
figured out how to
changes.
move Fitz and the Fool over to
I think
Underhill?
so. Hey, Tim, see if the lock has changed for you. I think so. Tim, see if the lock has changed.
I really want to know why my lighting seems to have changed. As far as I can tell, all the lights are still on. So yeah, unfortunately, using it for personal use also limits the file outputs that you're allowed to do. And what they don't seem to understand is there's guys that are hobbyists that still rely on certain file outputs.
Jay, go back to the other channel.
What, here?
Yes, we're all here now.
Oh, cool.
So now we can, Tim and I can be ghost voices in your lovely little live settings.
Well,
So now we can
Yes,
both.
but
guys
unfortunately,
have
this
been
ghost has
acting
to bail
as
before the
well.
rains get really bad. I'll be back.
All right, see ya.
All right, later, Tim. Oh, there you go. So we've figured out some technology. We forged some knives. Somehow it just got darker and grainier though on the screen.
Yeah, I noticed that the main
And
is
I did not
darker.
I didn't change anything.
You didn't hit anything by accident on the camera or anything?
Oh. No, I haven't touched the camera. So
Weird.
all the lights are still set the exact same way. I haven't blown any bulbs or anything that I can see, but it is noticeably darker. And I don't even have OBS pulled up, so it's not like I'm applying a filter or anything like that.
Hmm.
We can all get behind building our own still out of a boiler. Now, technically, here in the States, we're only allowed to do that to make essential oils. Jeff, you just got here. You're going to have to go back. You're hitting the tail end of, say, 25 minutes of just technical bullshit. But the forging ended at like 3:30.
No. Like 3.
Okay, it ended at 3. I don't know. I'm not actually paying attention to timestamps. I did 3 hours worth of work, and now it's an hour worth of drinking beer and trying to figure out if we can do some really cool stuff with the setup that's already here. And also wondering why the hell this thing is like giving us different picture than what it was. Okay, so that's a zoom.
Duh.
What, you don't like that?
It's just a little weird.
It's like an Austin Powers thing. But it still seems as though it still looks dark.
Yeah. Compared
Almost
to the
like the f-stop on the camera was changed. But that is not possible from where I'm at. Wait, you started drinking the beer at 9:30, or you started making beer at 9:30? I wonder if it could have the fact that it's kind of dark and stormy outside.
Maybe.
Letting in a little bit more light seemed to kind of help, but
Not a lot though.
it not a lot though. That whole one corner just seemed to really get dark. I mean, I can add another light, but that really only works if it casts a lot of shadows. Oh well. Hey, it was a great day of forging. That knife turned out really awesome.
Yep.
I mean, Jurgen, Jeff, even though you turned in late, Nate. I mean, Nate, you're always a contributor to everything that goes on here. Bill tuned in. Tim tuned in. Tim did. Yeah, go ahead, listen to that one 5 times fast. No, it was a good international audience today. I really enjoyed it. I'm actually looking forward to going back and kind of reviewing some of the stuff that I did. But quite frankly, we've been streaming for 4 hours, so I think it's time to wrap things up, and I can go home and watch some Netflix.
Enjoy this lovely stormy day.
Yeah, actually, I'm watching it. I'm watching it piss rain right now, so I'm not really looking forward to leaving the shop at all. It's wet out there.
Did you walk to the shop?
No, I drove.
Oh, okay.
Dude, Nate, it's like 350 feet from the back door to the shop.
I know. I know it's a long walk, so.
Even when you stay here, you still drive to the shop.
Yeah, and I wasn't saying anything against it. That's why I asked if you walked or drove.
No, seriously, guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. Appreciate everyone being here. And now I'm going to go ahead and stop the live stream. So if you missed something, go back and watch it on Twitch or on YouTube. Because I think that's how we roll.
Yeah, and I actually have to get some things done today.
And
God.
we'll end up seeing you probably tomorrow. Oh, hold on. What was that? I don't understand the. Oh wait, Jeff, you want to see the knife? It's tempering right now, so let me go ahead and grab a glove. Because God knows I don't want to grab something that's almost 400 degrees.
Oh, you'll be fine.
But here we go. Well, it's hard to hold on to with these welding gloves. There you go. That's the overall piece.
How'd the pattern come out? Do you know?
I don't know. I haven't checked the pattern yet. So
Okay.
that'll come out after tomorrow's Tomorrow's sanding. But that's what we made today, and I'm really looking forward to using it on Sunday. So at least that's my goal. I want to use it to make dinner on Sunday. We'll see if that actually happens or not, but still, thanks again, guys, for tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you being here. And I guess I'm going to go ahead and transition out. And what's really funny is, Nate, when you talk, you'll probably still be heard.
I'll still come through, even the last little remaining bits.
Just